Hey guys, welcome to Admit 3, where we discuss all things movies, media, and television. I'm Kurt.
I'm Laura.
And I'm Rob.
Thanks for tuning in. This is shit.
Okay.
Alright. Well, we're live whenever you want
We're
to
live.
do your spiel.
Live. So
Well, you guys have to start it.
I guess so. Rob, you wanna go? You want me to go?
Sure. Welcome back to The Last of Us review.
You fucking jokester.
Okay.
Off to a great start here.
I almost said shit or get off the pod, which is weird because we haven't done that in half a year?
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Alright. Welcome back to Admit 3. Today we are going over Poker Face. We're doing something a little different for this one, and let's introduce our guest star, Sherry, my sister, Kurt's wife.
My wife.
Also Laura's sister, but she is not here because she did not watch Poker Face. Probably never going to finish it.
Which is a mistake because it is a fantastic show.
If you're listening, Laura, watch Poker Face.
And we're going to do basically a whole season recap. We're going to go down the list of our favorite episodes. Should we start from least favorite to favorite?
Yeah.
Least favorite to favorite.
It's probably more climactic that way, right?
But first, let's do a little synopsis. Yeah?
Right, yeah.
Okay. We've got episode 1, Dead Man's Hand. When a close friend of hers meets an untimely end, Charlie Cale, a casino cocktail waitress with an uncanny knack for identifying lies, is determined to unravel these mysterious events, even if it endangers her own life. Episode 2, The Night Shift. Wounded and on the run, Charlie is forced to make a pit stop in desolate New Mexico, where she tries to clear the name of a trucker framed for the murder of a local. Episode 3, The Stall. Charlie takes a job at a family-run Texas BBQ joint and must use her perception skills to figure out the truth behind a shocking death. Episode 4, Rest in Metal. Charlie goes on tour with has-been metal band Doxology, a motley crew of dejected rockers who've spent decades trying to write a new hit. Brutal. Charlie suspects foul play when one musician ends up dead. Episode 5, Time of the Monkey. While working at a retirement home, Charlie makes friends with 2 rebellious old ladies who may have taken matters into their own hands. Episode 6, Exit Stage Death. Charlie's waitress job at a dinner theater is interrupted by a tragic death on stage during a performance by 2 washed-up television stars. When she starts to investigate, deadly motivations come to light. Episode 7, The Future of the Sport. While working at a go-kart complex, Charlie becomes involved in a bitter feud between an aging race car driver and a hothead young upstart, whose rivalry has explosive consequences. Episode 8, The Orpheus Syndrome. A special effects artist unearths a past project to find closure from the guilt of a fatal onset accident. But when old demons resurface, Charlie is left to unravel a new deadly plot. Episode 9, Escape from Shit Mountain. Charlie finds herself stranded in a motel during a blizzard where she must decipher the deadly tension between her questionable companions to survive the night. And last, episode 10, The Hook. Charlie faces her greatest challenge yet when she is caught in the crossfire of a deadly power play that puts her in the sights of 2 ruthless crime syndicates and the FBI.
Wow. There you have it. The entire season in 2 minutes. You did a lot of heavy lifting there. So, and you're our guest, of course. So maybe you should start with your... Yeah, you deserve to go first.
You did a lot of work, so why don't you continue doing more?
Well, this is the fun part.
This is the fun part. Okay, so we're going in order from our least favorite
Least
to our
favorite
most
to
favorite.
favorite, yes. So this is your number 10.
My least favorite is episode 6, Exit Stage Death.
I knew that was going to be your least favorite.
But yeah.
Oh. I thought you were gonna go
No,
up to
I want us all to see what they are, and then we'll say why.
Okay.
I'm curious.
Okay. For me, it's episode 7, The Future of the Sport.
Okay.
Wow, least favorite?
Least favorite. What about you, Rob?
My least favorite, number 10, is Escape from Shit Mountain. Despite having what I think, despite what I think having the best name in like terms of episodes. I think it's the best name for an episode, but I think it was the worst. Easily.
Okay, well,
I
what
knew
we
she
want
was
to know
gonna.
is
I knew Sherry's least favorite was gonna
why.
be Exit Stage Death, though. I would have put money on that.
Why is your least favorite Escape from Ship Mountain, do you think?
Okay, so one big reason is that the whole like intro to the episode, she like finds this like fucking hipster dude in the forest, and they like have like this like relationship, and then there's like a cutscene, and she's just like walking down the road, trying to like get people to give her money for her washing windshields or something. And they never explain what happened in that relationship. They never go back to it. They never build upon it at all. I mean, they just didn't elaborate that whole situation.
I do understand that.
I thought that was the point.
Well,
Interesting.
it is the point, but I also didn't like that very much about the episode. That was my least favorite element of the episode.
That is interesting to me because it's my spoiler alert favorite episode of the series. Loved it. I'm gonna go back to I'm gonna go back to why I loved it obviously later, but I thought that was the point, that like she got caught up in this relationship with this guy, like all this
And
stuff,
that's
and
why
then
she
blew
stuck.
all her money and whatever she had there, and so she had to kind of yeah.
I mean, I get it. It just didn't work for me. I just feel like it was very...
I could have done without that part at all for sure.
Yeah, that's how I
Yeah,
feel
it didn't need to
about
be there,
yeah.
but I thought that was such a small part of the episode that that's not a complaint for me.
And another complaint for me is, I don't know how you feel about her like friend. I don't know if you even call it a friend, the one who's like a
I would not
kleptomaniac.
call her a friend. Morty or
She's like
something.
the closest thing to like a likable character in that episode, other than Charlie. Like everybody else sucks. Yeah, and like there's no likable characters in it really. I mean, I guess
Joseph Gordon-Levitt's friend in the episode.
I still
isn't
wouldn't
a
consider him a
total piece-
likable character.
But he's not like a total piece of shit. He was being lied to, and
He has
gassed
redeeming.
by Joseph
He has
Gordon-Levitt's.
redeeming qualities, but
Yeah.
he's still not a likable
I agree.
character.
I agree with both of you. Okay.
I mean, I don't think there is an episode in this season that's like so bad that it's like unwatchable.
No.
Like you would want to go back to it. They're all good,
Yeah.
so it's tough to make a
It
list
is
like this.
tough.
I was going to say the same thing. I don't think any of these are bad episodes. It's just that some are much better than others, I would say.
And I am blown away that you put that at number one. I never would have guessed that.
I'm
Love
also very disappointed that I know what your number one is at the very top of the episode, but I guess I'll survive.
I hope so.
Why is your number 10? What was your number 10?
Exit stage death.
Exit Stage Death. Why do you have it at number 10?
I did not think the plot was compelling at all. Did not care about Charlie being a waitress or whatever she was. It wasn't fun like how she pops up in other places and you're like, how did this happen? It wasn't fun for me. Hated the plot. Could not care less about these people like, being in love and wanting to like kill his wife in order to get her money or whatever.
Which they succeeded doing.
Right, but like speaking of like no one likable, I didn't root for anyone. I didn't feel sorry for anyone. To me,
Right.
it was a complete like like I don't care about anyone here, so whatever. But like you said, it's like all episodes are good. Like it's just not a
Right.
bad episode. It's just if I have to choose, it is at the end of the list. It's like if you like every flavor of Skittle, but you have to put them in order. You know what I mean? It's hard.
For me, the future of the sport was not my initial last place. I ended up flipping it with the next spot. But it stars Tim Blake Nelson, who I love. But he doesn't have a lot to do in the episode. I would say he's maybe one of the biggest guest stars that the show has, and it doesn't. They don't. He's not in it very much.
That's an opinion.
For me, on a
Okay.
personal level, one of the biggest guest stars that the show has. But they don't really do anything with them. Charles Melton in the episode, the guy who plays the young driver, he's a decent villain, especially like later in the episode when he starts coming after Charlie. But I didn't love the conclusion to that episode. Didn't love that he didn't really, get his comeuppance at all. And there's that one scene that really bothered me where she hears that he's lying, like she overhears him talking
Yeah.
to somebody else. It
That was
felt
lazy.
very cheap and lazy.
Yeah.
And in a show that is so smart and clever,
Yeah,
so often
it wasn't-
it felt
Yeah.
just
it was out of
it
place.
felt
It was
below
literally
tier.
only added so that she could catch him in a lie.
Yeah.
Like there wasn't any like necessity for it. It was just very lazy.
Yeah.
Should we get in number 9?
Let's go.
My number 9 is episode 6, Exit Stage Death.
Okay, well, my number 9 is the future of the sports.
I just deleted my list actually.
Undo!
You need to...
Just let me look at
Look
the
at the titles.
titles again. Yeah.
You're only the youngest one here. You're not supposed to be fucking up technology.
I
Yeah.
had it on my lap, so I don't know how I managed to do that, but it happens to the best of us, I guess.
You are the best of us.
That was tender.
Yeah, that was no comment. I can't believe I deleted that. Anyways,
Yeah, you fucked up.
I'm pretty sure that I put my number 9 as Exit Stage Death. Is that what it's called?
The one we
Yeah.
just talked about.
Yeah, and pretty much for the same reasons. It just felt kind of
I'm going to leave that with you because it has the descriptions if you need to look for the rest of
yeah.
them.
Like the whole thing about them using the dry ice like in the key latch or whatever, so like it would melt and then you could fall through. I mean, I guess that was kind of cool, but other than that, there's like no real like big mystery to it. It's kind of just like very, I don't know, boring.
Yeah. I thought it was a fine episode. It was definitely the first time that something felt like a filler episode on the series to
Yeah,
me.
filler for sure.
But the reason I didn't put it in last place is because there's this really funny thing that keeps happening when the show is live and Charlie keeps popping up in random places trying to like solve the mystery
Yeah,
and
that
like
is
tell
fun.
people to watch out. And that was so funny to me. Natasha Lyonne is so funny in those scenes. And so I ultimately moved it up a spot on my list for that.
Okay.
Why is your number 9 the future of the sport?
For all the reasons we talked about before, it's bottom, bottom,
It's bottom. It's mid.
as the kids would say.
What was your guys' number 8?
My number 8. I already know this is controversial for you guys. Episode 5, Time of the Monkey.
Interesting. Okay.
It's pretty low, I'd say. Pretty low. Let's put that there.
I think so too.
Well,
I don't think it deserves the number 1 spot, but
Agreed.
What are your number 8s?
My number 8, and I know you're gonna find this controversial, is Arrested Metal.
ooh,
That's pretty low.
It is low, and like I said, it's really hard because they're all good. So I had to be like, what resonated the most with me when I was watching, and
yeah.
It wasn't Staple.
I did make a note
Merch
that
Girl.
it's
You have
impossible
been
to
singing Merch
not
Girl.
get Merch Girl stuck in your head. Impossible. It's been stuck in my head since we watched the episode nonstop. And the other one,
Sucker Punch.
Sucker Punch, but the part where it's like fiery sweet, whatever.
Syrupy Sweet.
I don't
Syrupy,
know.
whatever.
It's a
fiery
fiery
sweet.
treat.
Yeah. Cannot stop singing it. It's so good. It doesn't make sense that it's a fake song because it's so good. And I thought that the villains, like the band members, I thought that would be a legit reason to kill. Like literally, like I feel like a desperate band would have done that.
Yeah. I agree. Been in one of those bands before.
My number 8 was The Night Shift,
Okay.
which again, not a bad episode. It just felt like compared to some of the stronger episodes that we've seen in this season, I think it was more towards the bottom. I think the guy who played the antagonist in the episode did a really good job of portraying like
So good. His name
a
is
sad,
Colton
lonely
Ryan.
guy.
I did make a note of that too.
Colton Ryan.
Colton Ryan.
But I don't know, maybe it's the setting of the episode. It's just kind of like 3 businesses across from each other, and
Which
that's
is
kinda
all
like,
of New Mexico in general. So
maybe
Sure.
yeah, but it was kind of very like bland. We don't actually get to like see anything really happen to the guy. We just see like the police cars pulling up, and then he's like sitting on the roof, and
But that's kind of how it started too. So it was really like,
yeah,
know.
it just I don't know. It's like the same thing with Kurt about that episode, The Future of the Sport, where like you didn't get to see him like actually, you know, get dogged at the end.
But that's what they were doing.
Yeah.
To get him. And
That's why his, like,
as far
hands
as
were
the other
trembling.
thing, I do think that the most important thing in that episode, The Future of the Sport, the most important thing to him was being able to do that. And at the end, she took his ability to do that without any, you know, anxiety or whatever. She took the most important thing from him. Because I don't know if jail would have been even the worst thing that happened to that guy. And he wouldn't have been in there long anyway, because he didn't actually, you know, kill anybody, right?
Well, he tried to.
Right, no, for sure. But I mean, I think she took away the most important thing to him. So, and in this one, we do see that like the cops are coming. He is going to get arrested.
Yeah, I feel the same way about that other episode, The Future of the Sport. That's the same reaction I had at the ending. I wasn't like disappointed with it. I thought it was kind of like fitting for him
Yeah,
in a
me
way.
too.
But I don't know, the night shift, again, not a bad episode, just compared to some of the showrunners here. It's you know, more towards the bottom of the list in my opinion.
I agree, because it's my number 7.
Ooh.
Time of the Monkey for me. I have really nothing to say about it. I just didn't. I thought it was fun, but it didn't resonate with me at all. So it was like a fun, nothing sort of episode for me, which is why I have it lower on the list than you guys do. I know you both really liked it. At the time of watching it, you both had said that it was, you know, maybe your favorite episode. But I didn't connect with it as much. Though I will say the bomb in the air fryer was one of my favorite comic moments of the show. I thought that was very funny.
And Judith Light, iconic.
Yeah, it's true. So your number 7 was Night Shift.
Yep. And I know that we talked about it a little bit, but I do think after watching everything, he is one of the best villains of the whole series. Just because of how you had the ability to kind of feel sorry for him at the beginning until you realized he was just a sad sack. It wasn't even like he felt sorry for himself, and that's like not as cute. You know, it's one thing to feel sorry for someone, it's another thing when someone's like, my life sucks, and it's like, okay, do something about it. And he thought that murder was the way to go.
Yeah, well,
but
did something
he
about it.
played that part so well that like so much of his acting was just all in his eyes.
Yeah.
Like all in the eyes. It was so good.
My thing is, he these things were not beyond his control. He could have done something about it. But even when he killed this guy and took all that money, he still stayed there. He kept talking about what he was going to do, but he wasn't doing anything still. He was keeping himself in that same exact position because he's a loser. And I thought that was a really nice touch to the episode, that he
Interesting
had
that
these
you
big
view it that
dreams.
way.
He had these big
It
dreams.
was only $20,000, so
But
you wouldn't really get very far.
he had these big dreams that he talked about wanting to do, talked about wanting to get away. But even when he won the money, he just wanted to stick around and like
So then
pretend to
did
be
he have
something.
big dreams, or did he just want to feel like he was better than
I think
other
he
people?
wanted to
It didn't
feel
look
like
he had a dream.
he wanted to. What I'm saying is he wanted to feel better than what he was, and maybe he thought he was better than what he was, but his actions never showed that.
I wonder if he didn't leave right away because he didn't want to look suspicious. Like, I mean, there's like 10 people in that town, so like this guy gets murdered and then this guy runs away and like, you know, has a winning lottery ticket. It might look suspicious. Could be, but I don't know.
I think that actor's portrayal of the character was spot on. It was great acting. Almost too good. It has me concerned for the actor a little bit.
So good, yeah.
But like you were saying, you almost feel bad for him in the beginning, and it kind of made me feel like he was like so low down on like such like a depressing character that it almost made me feel like he wasn't gonna be the bad guy. And there's a scene where the subway worker like puts a knife in his apron and then goes up to talk to him and tells him to like back off the cashier girl at the was it a gas station or something?
Yeah.
And I thought the I thought the subway worker was gonna end up killing him in like some kind
I
of
did too,
altercation.
originally.
Subway TikToker.
But then as soon as they pulled out the lotto ticket and he was like, I want $20,000, I was like, ooh, all right, I know what's gonna happen now.
But I also think that the fact that he took a knife up there with him proves how he, who was in the military, thought this person could be dangerous. He's acting
Right.
dangerous. He's stalking this girl. And he, wanted to protect himself. I mean, it was to his detriment, obviously. But
Yeah.
because at first, like, you weren't viewing this guy as, like, dangerous. You were viewing him as, like, just a lonely creep.
Sad
Yeah,
loser.
that Zach.
Sad.
Rob, what's your number 7?
1 second. I can't believe I deleted my list. That's crazy. The Stall was my number 7. Again,
The
I don't think it was a bad episode. It made me really want barbecue food. Yeah, there wasn't really much for me to say about this episode. The one thing I really did like is when she was tasting the wood and it
Yeah.
played like the different musical notes for like each
That was really
different
cool.
wood. I thought that was a very cool like thing to add. Again, the guy who plays the antagonist, I think he does a pretty good job
Yeah.
in that role.
Yep. And the brother who dies, I thought it was really funny how, like, his whole life has been about meat. And
Yeah.
then she, like,
Yeah. Makes
gives him a bootleg DVD, and all of a sudden he's like, I'm a vegan.
I'm a killer. My number 7, maybe another controversial thing. Episode 10, The Hook, the season finale.
Wow.
I thought it did a great job of subverting our expectations with Ron Perlman's character. We, thought he was the big bad of the season, and he really wasn't. He just wanted to, work with her again.
He could have made that more clear, I
He
feel
could
like.
have made it more clear, and I think that maybe at first he did want to kill her for real, but
Then he was like,
time changes
yeah.
things and your perspective changes. Benjamin Bratt is great in this series, but he's sidelined so much. He really got to shine in this episode, which I appreciated. I couldn't help but feel a little disappointed that the season wrapped up, leaving us in the same exact position as season 1 started in.
Yeah.
I know they have to find ways for her to get involved with these murder mysteries for the show to continue. I just wish it was, not copy and paste the way that it is.
Ooh, interesting.
I thought that was a little disappointing. But I did really love the scene with Natasha Lyonne and
Her sister.
Her sister.
Very
I'm
good.
blanking on her name now.
I can't
but,
remember either.
From the faculty, which I love.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought that was a really great scene. I'm excited to see more.
It's interesting that you say that because I love the copy and paste. I think that's what makes the show what it is. But as you know, I'm like a big fan of that type of. I watch Murder She Wrote every morning of my life. So
I like what the show is for sure.
Clea Duvall is her
I
name.
do,
And
yeah.
it was at the top of my head and I could not think of it.
I just wish that there was like another way to get her into that sort of situation. And then, now another big bad is after her and she's got to get on the road and run away again.
But I like that every episode starts and she's not like in fucking therapy that she keeps finding dead bodies everywhere. You know what I mean? Like every episode starts and it's like fresh slate and, here we go into this other thing. And like, it doesn't follow her. I'm sure it follows her, but it's not
But
the point of it.
Near the end of the season, though, we start to see how much it is weighing on her. She starts, really having these, not like full-on breakdowns, but she has these moments where she's like, this has been awful. I feel awful. All of this is bad. So she is feeling the weight from episode to episode.
But is that because she's running or because she's finding the bodies?
I
To
think
me, it
it's
seemed,
both. This has been
sure.
body after dead
But
body.
to me, it seemed more that she
falling
had
out
to
of
be
shit.
had to be on the run
Concrete.
as opposed to the body stuff. But I mean, I guess we'll never know. What are we on next? 6?
Was that the last one for number 7?
Yep.
Okay. Then yeah, number 6.
I found my list, by the way.
Oh, great.
Okay.
And
Great.
I'm very happy to relay that
You were
both the
correct.
past ones. I didn't mess them up. I mixed them up.
Well, since you found your list, do you want to go first with
Yeah.
number 6?
Sure. Number 6 for me was the future of the sport. I think we pretty much already
Me too.
covered, most of that episode. I did like that one scene where I kind of want to go back, actually. Let me backtrack. It's where, you know how she had that, like, love thing with the
Yeah.
weird hippie guy in the woods? And they didn't elaborate on that at all, and they just kind of, like, dangled that in front of you and then yanked it away and didn't give you anything else. They had kind of, like, a similar thing happen in this episode where they're, like, playing an arcade game, and he leans in
Yeah,
for a kiss,
he
and
hits on her.
she's like, no, kid.
Yeah.
And
Been there.
I thought that at that moment they were like trying to show us, you know, the makers of the show, they were trying to show us that like this show is not supposed to be about a love story between Charlie and somebody else. It's supposed to be about her journey, you know, basically as a loner, a wanderer. And then that episode came about. It's like, nope,
Yeah.
he's just, you know, good to.
But
have
maybe
a-
that was also intentional too, because that was earlier on. Not super early, but then maybe it was like, shit, I've been on the run for a year. I'm kind
Yeah,
of tired
That's
of
the
like
way
not doing
I
the
read it
human
also,
thing. Yeah.
was that she got to a certain point where she was just like, fuck it, things aren't getting better, I'm still on the road.
Right. Or maybe she just wasn't attracted to this guy. So who knows?
Yeah, well, that hippie guy, he did have some abs, so gotta give him credit where credit's due.
We're on number 6.
Yeah.
Number 6 for me is episode 9, Escape from Shit Mountain. Joseph Gordon-Levitt was great in this episode.
Oh my God,
I
yeah.
love that he got to go full villain. It was so much fun. He was so shitty. Natasha Lyonne also. This was one of the episodes. This is like maybe the episode where we see her crumbling a bit, and then she's
Physically and mentally.
Yeah, physically and mentally. She's left for dead. She should be dead, probably.
Probably wished she
But,
was too while she was in that hole.
There are several moments where her character Charlie is completely helpless because of
Yes.
these injuries. She can't protect herself, and Natasha Lyonne in these scenes is so good at conveying that fear.
You feel the fear.
You really feel the
Yeah.
fear, and
because she's not superhuman, and I think that's what, like, I don't know, a lot of shows, like, you feel like they know something, they have something, they can do something, and she just feels like a regular person who got stuck in something. So yeah, totally get that.
absolutely. I think it's a very strong episode. It just didn't quite crack my top 5.
Interesting.
Before you give us your number 6, I just wanted to say, I did love that one scene in Escape from Shit Mountain where she like slices off his ankle monitor, and he thinks he, is gonna get away scot-free with everything. He like put all the bodies in the hole or whatever, and he drives home. He makes it before his, I don't know,
Parole
probation
officer,
parole
whatever.
officer was calling him and was able to get back. And then he sits down on the couch and he looks down at his ankle and he realizes, oh shit, my
But
monitor's
before that,
gone.
he's like, and that's how you do it, or like whatever. He's like makes some kind of like
Yeah.
exclamation. Oh,
And
man.
that like look of defeat on his face, it's just like it was so good.
It is. My pick for 6 is Time of the Monkey, which I liked the episode. I love the episode. I thought the plot was so good. I loved the idea of like 2 old ladies in a retirement home being the villains. Iconic. I loved that Charlie really resonated so much with them until she found out that they were psychopaths. I thought it was really fun for her to be like, oh, I thought I liked you,
Yeah.
but we don't have anything in common. I'm not
Natasha Lyonne
like
was
you.
also very good there. And
So
that
good.
disappointment that she
In
felt.
the disappointment, yes. In that, like, I'm separate from you. I'm not like you. Judith Light crawling up like the trellis or whatever because she's supposed to be in a wheelchair. That is so funny. It was so iconic. Yeah, I loved that. I just loved that whole I guess community in the retirement home. It was fun seeing those side characters as well.
That scene where they're tasing each other to like
Oh yeah.
stop the heart monitor
Yeah,
or
yeah,
whatever. It looked like it was like a stop motion or something. The way they edited it was so weird.
So we're in the top 5 now.
We are top 5.
That's right.
I'm actually, what I have written in front of me, I'm going to flip my 5 and my 4 right now.
Oh.
I will read them back. I'm feeling different.
You heard it here first,
Yeah.
folks.
Flip or flop. So number 5 for me is going to be episode 3, The Stall. I thought it was a really great episode. The Octo joke alone is good enough to get my top 5. It was so funny. I like almost cried with laughter when I saw that DVD. And he comes out and he's like, "What have I done?" And the racist dog is also so fucking funny. I think it's a great episode, and up to this point, like watching the first 4 episodes, because they released the first 4 all at once, I believe.
Yeah, I think so.
I was like, holy shit, this is one of the best starts to a season that I've ever seen in my life. But yeah, it's great. The Stall is my number 5.
My number 5 is The Hook, which was the finale. I liked it. I loved it. I thought the Benjamin Bratt stuff was so funny. The callbacks to what's that show? Burn Notice.
Yeah.
So funny. I loved getting a taste of like what he was doing the entire time. We've seen what Charlie was doing. We didn't see what he was doing, and this kind of like flashes back to him trying to find her, which I thought was really fun. What you said earlier about him kind of like being a side character, I also thought that was like intentional, because like that's how he felt. Like he was second in command. He was like, when he made that speech about like man's best friend and you know, being the person who backs up the other person. And I really liked I felt that was kind of intentional as well. Like he just disappeared for a long time, and then all of a sudden he was there, and it was all about him. And that is how the episode kind of, it went in that direction.
That one scene where he tells her to get the gun out of the glove compartment. It seems like a risky play. Obviously, you know, with hindsight 2020, he just wanted to get her fingerprints on the gun and make it easy to frame her. But that's such like a risky play. Just like, obviously he probably thought he knew her and then she wouldn't do it. But I mean, from a year on the run, you don't know what anybody's gonna do. I don't know.
And
if
she
I'd
did
take that
contemplate
risk.
it. You could tell she really.
Was there a bullet in it though? Have we confirmed that there was even a bullet in it?
I think there was.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'd have to watch it again.
I don't know why she'd bother pointing it at him if there wasn't.
But how would she know?
I don't know.
The
if she
revolver,
did-
you could see the cylinders, right?
I honestly don't remember. I'm not a gun gal.
It's me now.
It's
isn't
you,
it?
yeah.
Okay. So my number 5 was Time of the Monkey. I thought it was a solid episode. When we first watched this episode, I thought, like you said, I thought this might be my favorite. It's very fun. It's very like zany, like Sherry said, where she's crawling up the vines and everything, even though she's supposed to be in like a wheelchair. And there's just like a bunch of little things in the movie, like the creepy perverted old guy who's like always making sexual jokes when they're trying
And
to
nursing homes have that. I've worked in several, and I can tell you that is true.
when they're trying to go to the bathroom and there's like a line in where the old guy says like, I gotta take a piss. there's so many like little funny moments
Yeah,
throughout
that's
this whole
fun.
season. They've
Yeah.
got stuff like that, but this one really did a good job for me. Going back to like when they were getting tased and like it was in stop motion, there's a couple scenes throughout the season where I feel like this was done intentionally. I don't know if it was just to make it extra goofy or maybe to lighten the mood, because obviously it's like a dark show. It's about people getting murdered and stuff. But I really enjoy those moments. They make me laugh.
So we're in top 4.
We are.
The final 4. You want to start us off?
Sure. Mine is The Stall, which we've already talked about. The only thing I want to bring up is something that we've seen throughout the series, but first stuck out to me in this episode was that Charlie is not superhuman. Like, she is, you see her talking to the murderer, because we already know who the murderer is before she does, because we always see the murder happen and then it backtracks or whatever. And she's always like talking to them, and you're like, well, you want to be like, Charlie, you idiot, like, stop talking, they're gonna know you know. But this was like that first time it really stuck out to me that she was just a regular person, and she wasn't any smarter than the average person. She has a gift, but she didn't pick up on the fact that, you know, this woman was involved with the murder of her husband and stuff. And I like that, because it really, that is the point of these types of shows. Like, same with like the Murder She Wrote and stuff like that. It's just a regular person who happens to help out solving crimes. I thought the dog stuff was really funny. I really loved that the guy thought he was so clever with the recording, and I like how all of that kind of fell down at the end. I thought the episode was really strong.
Yeah. I also want to mention, because I forgot when I was talking about The Stall, the victim in this episode, I really liked him.
Me
And this
too.
was one. This
I
was
was
maybe
sad.
the first time in the series where I felt really bummed that this person had to like die.
Really, because the other two were pretty.
Sorry.
Sorry, Natalie.
And Natalie.
Oh,
Wow. Okay.
okay.
My number 4, and I fucking hate that I have this lower than you guys. Absolutely fucking hate it because I love this episode, and now it kind of seems like I don't love it as much as I love it. It's episode 8, the Orpheus Syndrome.
Oh.
I aesthetically, this was my favorite episode of the season. Natasha Lyonne directs this episode, and there's such like a tinge of horror throughout the thing, like from the shot compositions to things literally about like sci-fi horror, like B movies and stuff. And the lighting, it's so much of it is like steeped in horror, and I really liked it. I also thought Nick Nolte was so great and heartbreaking in this
I
episode.
wrote that down. That the performance was. I actually wrote wowza.
I wrote that he is the best performance by a guest star in the series. so
I
far.
also wrote Cherry Jones. Chef's kiss.
Yeah, it's a fantastic episode. I initially had it at 5, but I was like, no, I like it more than the other episode. And you know, as some of these episodes we've seen more than once, and we've only seen
Yeah.
the Orpheus Syndrome one time. So I think maybe with more viewings, it could even move up higher for me. But I really loved it.
Without spoiling, you haven't put Orpheus Syndrome on the
Have not.
list yet. Okay. Because you were just like,
Yeah, I noticed that neither of you have
Okay.
said it.
all right, you want to pick up next, Sherry?
Sure. What are we on?
Number 4.
4?
No, we did that because I said the stall.
Are you sure? Oh, maybe we're still on number 4 because that was your number 4, right? The Orpheus Syndrome.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh yeah, yeah. I told you to start.
My fault. My number 4 is also the Orpheus Syndrome.
Oh, okay.
I'm very glad Kurt went before me because I was about to put money down on him putting that as the number 1.
I almost did.
I knew from
I almost
immediately,
put it at
I
number
knew
one.
Exit
Wait a
Stage
minute,
Death
wait
was
a
going to be yours, though. I absolutely knew it.
You mean the last one?
The worst. Did I say
Yeah.
the best? I meant the worst.
Yeah.
I knew that was going to be your number 10 because I just felt it in my bones. I was going to put money on number 1 for Kurt being the Orpheus Syndrome and number 10 for you being Exit Stage Death. And I'm shocked that you didn't put Orpheus Syndrome as your number 1. I feel like you wanted to, but you didn't want to cop out and put it as your number 1.
That's not my favorite episode of the series so far.
Okay.
But I liked the episode. I don't think I liked it as much as you guys did because I could tell immediately after it you guys were like talking about how good it was, and I kind of dogged it. I was like, yeah, it was all right. You guys were like, you're out of your mind.
But it's at your number
I stand
4.
by that.
It's still at my number 4. Like I said, every episode in this season is very good. It's heavily inspired. You can tell by a lot of the shots in it. I just felt like the ending, although fitting with how she jumps off the roof, it seemed kind of like lackluster. It was fitting, obviously, because the guy she killed like looked at her and said, "Look at me," and then jumped off the roof or whatever. So I get what they were going for, but that ending didn't work for me as well. I did really like the scene where she was like tripping balls and like seeing like their faces everywhere, the people that she killed. I thought that was very cool.
Yeah, I agree.
So we're on number 3.
We are top 3.
3. Can't wait to see what you guys have up here. Well, I guess we know what. That was so long ago, maybe I've forgotten what it is. Number 3, I have episode 4, Rest in Metal.
Okay.
It
was very low on the list for me, but very high for you. Interesting.
I really love this episode.
So did I.
The victim was such a lovable doofus character. I adored him. He
So
just wanted to
cute.
fucking rock. And all he wanted in his life was to
And he
rock.
idolized these people,
Yeah.
even though they only have one head.
Yeah,
Cool, bro.
he's so great. The songs in the episode are bangers. Merch Girl and Sucker Punch have been stuck in my head for weeks.
Correct.
I will never look at a staple again without thinking staple head. It's so fucking good. And when the guy like throws a stapler,
And he just keeps going. He's like, yes.
it's her face. It's so fucking funny. And there's also the scene when the lights go out when they kill him.
Yeah.
And like that red light comes in. There's a lot of instances where red lighting is used in this series, and I loved it. But when you see Charlie at the merch stand, and then
Yes.
it's just lit in red,
So good.
so good. And then Benjamin Bratt comes back at the end of the episode, and starts chasing her around. It's fantastic. It's these top three are pretty interchangeable for me. Like, you
could ask me in a week and it might be different.
It could be different, exactly. But for now, it's at number 3. I really love it. What about you, Rob? What's your number 3?
My number 3, The Hook.
Okay. Wow, that's way higher than I thought it would be for you.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, since it hasn't come up yet, the first episode and the last episode, pretty high on my list. I think the first episode is, because like, maybe I'm looking at it through like rose-tinted glasses, because it's what kicked off this whole season. But I thought The Hook was interesting because it really showed, how far Charlie has come. When she finally gets caught, she's like just fed up. She's like, whatever, just bring me in. I'm ready. She's just ready to go. And then when he like makes her an offer, because she thought he was just gonna kill her, he makes her an offer to work for him. She gets up and walks away immediately. And then obviously we all know she's gonna come back.
Yeah.
But just like it was very cool to see, Charlie's, full circle. And also we got a little bit of backstory on Charlie, which was cool with her sister.
Stuff, yeah.
Yeah, which we haven't gotten a lot of backstory on Charlie. It's been
Nothing.
very bare bones in terms
Now
of
I'm curious
backstory
about the
for him.
dad, because they were talking about like, what happened with like the their dad and stuff. I'm like, but we
Yeah.
don't know what happened with the dad.
And she briefly, I think it might have been in Escape from Ship Mountain, where she talked about like in her final moments or whatever, she saw like herself in like
Yeah, the vacation or whatever.
Yeah, at like the lake resort or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, "Was that a happy memory? Oh my god, is that my happiest memory?"
Right.
It just goes to show like how like dim or like how depressing her life probably has been. So, I really like getting the backstory about Charlie. Hopefully in season 2 we get more stuff like that. I would love to see that. And also like the build up in The Hook, with them getting the fingerprints on the gun, it kind of like goes all the way back to the first episode, how it was like everything was very well thought out. It was like engineered very well. It didn't seem like the future of the sport where like they had moments where it was just like very forced and didn't seem like it fit. I just feel like everything meshed together well with this episode.
I thought that vacation stuff was related to the coconut, no?
Coconut?
I thought that the memory that kept popping up into her head was because her dad was applying like coconut,
Oh yeah.
like suntan lotion, and
Right,
the
yeah.
guy was drinking coconut rum, right?
That was
She
from
kept
Escape from
smelling
Ship
the-
Mountain, right?
Yeah, she kept smelling
Yeah.
the coconut, and that was the association her brain was making, but she didn't make
Right.
until the end.
Yeah.
Where are we? Number 3?
Number 2. Number 3.
Yeah.
Almost
My third is Dead Man's Hand, which was the first episode.
First episode.
Oh,
Adrian Brody, so good.
very good.
I thought that it was a great way to get us hooked, like the hook, huh? But like her best friend being, it was so depressing. Like her best friend was like a victim of domestic abuse and like was, getting the shit kicked out of her by her husband all the time. And that isn't even what brings her down. It's this and that
I'm
was-
gonna go back and say that it's not that I didn't feel bad for this. I just meant that she's not like, her situation isn't like front and center the way that the others are, because this episode's more about introducing Charlie in the
I
situation.
know, I was teasing you.
I know, but these people don't know me.
Honestly, it's hard because so many of these episodes I feel like are perfect episodes of television, and I feel like Dead Man's Hand is a perfect episode of television. It's an episode that somebody who wouldn't continue watching the show could watch and enjoy. You could show it to somebody who has no context of anything and they'd be like, yeah, this is good. I think Charlie is relatable enough, likable enough, but also completely imperfect, which is nice. I think that it's interesting that she could use her gift in a lot of ways to her benefit, and she does not. She just wants to be okay. She like makes a little speech about that, kind of like, you know, she could be rich, she could whatever, but she's doing okay, and that's good enough for her.
Her sister definitely made a speech about it.
But yeah, I think it's a fantastic episode.
Well, I'll just stick with it and say that Dead Man's Hand is my second favorite episode. It's my number 2.
Okay.
I think it's a perfect episode. I think it's the perfect setup for the series. Adrian Brody, as you said, was great. Benjamin Bratt was great here. Natasha Lyonne really sold us on Charlie right away. Like, you got a sense of who Charlie was as a person just from this episode alone. I think it's one of the best first episodes of any TV series
Yes.
I've ever seen.
100%.
It's fantastic. It's one of my favorite Ryan Johnson things, which is saying a lot because Ryan Johnson has made so much shit that I adore. As I thought it was a fantastic episode and a fantastic way to kick off the series. It's my number 2.
Well, my number 2 is also Dead Man's Hand. So I agree with pretty much everything you said. It was a very fun episode. A great kickoff to a season. I don't know how they could have really done it any better. Yeah, obviously her friend dying was pretty sad. But I loved when she was like going through the tablet and she like saw like all the like
Dick pics?
And she was like, ew.
It's just like Dick Cloud or something.
She really gets dogged throughout this whole scene. Like in the hook, she has like the little like penis ring or whatever
Yeah.
she can't get off. She gets dogged left, right, and center this whole season. But I like Dead Man's Hand again. Like just like the hook, I had these back to back. The hook was 3, Dead Man's Hand number 2. I think they were well engineered. They were very well thought out. Nothing really seemed too out of place. Although I do agree with you on the hook that the ending was kind of lackluster. I wish they didn't just do the whole same thing that happened at the beginning of the season at the end. But at the same time, I'm very happy to be in that situation because I love the show and I'd love to see more episodes of it. Did you already say your number 2, Shiz?
I did not. My number 2 is the Orpheus Syndrome.
Wow.
When we watched that guy jump off the balcony or whatever, and then she goes to Nick Nolte's character and is like, please build me the bust of him because I really want to look him in the eyes and say goodbye. I remember like covering my mouth and being like, this bitch, I know what she's doing. She needs like the access to the computer, so she needed the thing that looked exactly like him. I remember being like, wow, that's good. I thought her performance was so good because she wasn't just like a bad person all along. I mean, obviously she did something bad and was trying to cover it up. And of course, when something bad happens and you try to cover it up, you let so many things happen. It's like, what is a person willing to do to protect their reputation, their business, their livelihood? But I feel like at the end where she goes, like you said, where she goes through all of that and she's haunted by all of that, it kind of shows that she was, I don't want to say bothered by it, but it wasn't like she thought nothing of it. It did affect her. And in the end, it got so in her head that she couldn't live with it. Nick Nolte's performance was so good that I was like, this has to be top of the list. It's just that good.
It's a fantastic episode. He's great in the episode. So we're on to number 1.
We are?
I guess we should let you go first since there's no
Since we already
surprise.
Escape from Ship Mountain.
Hey.
Loved the plot. I loved Joseph Gordon-Levitt being like so bored with a life that is typically like, I don't know, like you guys aren't really on TikTok the way, but like the things that he was doing are like what influencers post that they do all like he was living an ideal life compared to like, you know, like what some people would want. And he was so bored. He couldn't leave the house. Like he couldn't do all this stuff. But it's so hard to feel sorry for him because he's such a shit. And like every time the delivery guy comes and he like would take away the tip, like, and like you're not rooting for him at all. Like you did not feel sorry for him at any point, even in the beginning when he was like, you know, on house arrest.
He starts off like being super shitty, and he just gets worse and worse throughout the episode.
The lighting was so good in this episode. I loved so much of the lighting. I loved the way he could manipulate everything in his life from the time he was young until now, but couldn't make it. Like, in the end, Charlie beats him. Not because she's Superwoman or anything, but she makes that one decision to cut that ankle bracelet off because she's like, I'm taking that with me. Like, I need to be found, essentially. Like, I feel like that's a thing women would do. It's like, I have to be found if I'm going to be shoved back in this hole. I thought the friend thing was really cool. Like, he acted like he needed him up until a certain point, and then once he realized he was no longer going to be valuable to him, he's like, you're disposable, completely shoot you in the head, you're gone. I liked the non-friend. What was her name? Marty, something like that. She like gave her a nickname because
it was Morty. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or Mortimer, because it was like the credit card.
Yeah. And she was totally out for herself. I feel like she absolutely would have taken that car and left and never said anything about Charlie. She would have been totally fine with that.
And I loved when Joseph Gordon-Levitt killed her right there.
I did too.
I'm not saying she deserved it.
No.
I just love that he like really leaned into being a villain in that moment.
He leaned so far into being a villain, but I was disappointed because she seemed like a person who would be smarter than that.
Right.
Like, I feel like she got so caught up in the moment of like, ooh, I get to have this, that like, I feel like her 10 minutes ago wouldn't have made that mistake.
Yeah, she seemed too complacent.
Yes, it was like, all right, don't worry, like, I have the stuff on my phone, so if I have to release it, I will, but otherwise I'm not a problem. And to me, that was a foolish thing to do. But I loved all of the stuff with, like, the past, the girl, Chloe, or whatever, the skateboarder, whatever, that went missing.
Skateboarder.
Whatever she was. Well, I guess it's called Shit Mountain, so it's gotta be a snowboarder. I liked that the friend all along didn't realize that it was murder. Like, he really believed his friend.
That it was an accident.
And there was no indication that he, like, didn't believe that it was true. Like, he seemed genuinely shocked by the fact that, like, oh, really? Like, what did you say? That you guys had an argument and you killed her? Okay. Yeah, I thought this episode could have been a movie, and I would have watched that movie.
You want to go? You want me to go? Do you want to play this?
Either or. We can rock, paper, scissors.
Should we?
No, you go.
My number one episode, you guys had pretty low, is episode 2, The Night Shift.
I knew it.
That's your number one?
Yeah.
It's my number one episode.
I was looking through the list and I was like, what has he not said yet? And I was like,
Yeah.
The Night Shift? Is he out of his fucking mind?
I know what your number one is too. Process
That is so fascinating because all along the season, I feel like we talked about how that was not as strong. Like, I mean, I guess
I
we
think
didn't
you
talk
and Rob talked about it.
True.
That could
I was saving it for
Okay.
this very fucking moment.
Okay.
I actually didn't know that this was my favorite episode until last night when I was making my ranking.
Okay.
But I just really got to thinking about it. I think it's the best villain
100%
best villain
performance,
performance
yes.
of
Yeah.
the series.
Hands down.
He's fantastic.
Shout out to Colton Ryan.
Colton Ryan. You feel up to a certain point, you feel sympathetic for him almost.
Yes.
And the scene on the roof where he kills the guy, it's so brilliant in the way it builds suspense and twists your expectations over and over again, and then it ends with what you think is going to end with initially, but it twists you so many times on that roof that you're like, what the fuck is going to happen? It's very suspenseful. Hong Chow, Academy Award nominee Hong Chow, is so funny in the episode. The scene in the bathroom where she farts.
Oh my god, it's so funny.
And Charlie looks at her. She's like, "That's what happens in here." It's so funny. It's one of the funniest moments of the
It
entire
is
series.
very
I think.
funny.
I loved the ending when he's on the roof and the cop cars are pulling up and he's just drinking his fucking cheap beer and knowing that he's going down. I think it's such a great ending. It's such a great shot too. I love that shot.
Great shot. Because there's nothing in the background because it's New Mexico.
I think the moment in the episode that made this my number one, and made it was such a memorable moment. It stood out to me the entire season. Was when the owner of the mechanic shop, he's like, the killer is trying to say, hey, they're wrong, I didn't do this, blah blah blah, making excuse after excuse as he's done all episode about his entire life. and the guy just turns off his hearing aid
Yeah.
to tune him out and
And it's
walks
his
away.
nephew.
And you see him in the background like pleading his case, but the guy's just fed up and doesn't care anymore. And I thought it was such a powerful moment. I really loved it. Really loved the episode.
I also love how he knew that he had done it.
Yeah.
Because of,
Yeah, he knew.
like Charlie, well, you know, was asking the questions, like, can I look at the? He knew, and that's why he went to her car when she was going to leave
Yeah.
and fixed it, because he knew that he had fucked with it so that she would get hurt,
Yeah.
and he fixed it, and I loved that. I thought that was so good when he came back and he told him
Yeah.
I fixed it because somehow this happened. Yeah, I really like
It's
that too.
fantastic.
It was strong.
It's my favorite episode of the series. Like I said, the top 3 for me are interchangeable, but there's so many great moments in this episode. I had to give it a shout at number 1.
Well, this is gonna come as a shock to at least Sherry.
It is a shock
Okay.
to me, I will say.
It was a shock to the drummer in the episode.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
My number 1 is Rest in Metal. I thought this episode was so goofy that I loved it. Like how they put the amp that they used to set up the stuff to kill the guy
On eBay.
And she's
It
crawling
is
through
what
the
desperate
day.
people would do. It's so true.
These people are so believable because you could see something like this actually happening. Like it's very real. Like some of these scenarios, it reads more like a Murder, She Wrote story or something. But like this one, it seems like you can actually see people doing this.
There is an episode of Murder, She Wrote where they electrocute someone in a band.
Wow.
And so it does happen. What's her name? Chloe Sevigny? I don't know how to pronounce her last name.
Sivan.
She was so good in this role, and I know she's very good friends with Natasha Lyonne.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes, and I feel like she had such a, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, she's an icon, you know what I mean? But I feel like she is a real actor. Like, you did not get any sense of, like, this is a superstar acting in, like, a, I
Yeah.
don't want to say low budget, because they had a humongous amount of guest stars.
She absolutely
yeah.
committed to the
So
character.
yes,
Yeah.
she committed. She was so believable. Her looking so depressed, working at like the Home Depot or whatever, and then like just walking out to Charlie and being like, "Are you gonna help us out with this like merch thing or not?"
Yeah.
And like not really caring what the answer. Like she just had no. You felt like the hopelessness and the desperation from her. Like you could really feel it. And I feel like when Gavin, right? That's
Yeah,
the
Gavin,
kid's name.
yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like when he got involved with them, it was like, it was such a contrast that it was even more so. Like his giddiness and like excitedness and
They're all washed up and he's like still, he
Yeah.
can rise up. Yeah.
right. But I feel like it was such a contrast that it like fit so well with making her seem more of a loser, to be
Yeah.
honest. And I thought that was really nice.
I think Kurt already said it, but when that guy's like listening to Staplehead and he grabs the stapler and throws it at his head, so fucking funny. And then he like steals her scream and she turns around and she's like, "Don't you ever steal my fucking
Yeah.
scream."
Yeah.
Like punches him in the mouth. It's just such a goofy episode, and they're like at a Chili's or something, and he wrote down like all
Yes.
this stuff on the napkin, and
No, it was like when she was trying to figure out the murder or whatever, and it was just like all the stuff on the bed, and it was
Yeah.
like she's like
all the stuff
putting
at
the lyrics
restaurant.
together, and it was like the back of like a hot sauce packet. Like it was like all this lyrics in the song.
It's just such a goofy episode.
So
It was very
goofy.
fun. I really enjoyed it, and
The ending is also great. This sitcom that he's been watching
Yeah.
ends up that he fucking copyrighted the whole thing. Like he like stole it. He plagiarized the whole thing. And they were using this song and they get dogged for it. It's so funny. It's such a clever ending to the episode for them. So they're signing the contracts.
Not
like,
only
about to
signing
make
the
their future.
contracts, they're signing the contracts with complete confidence.
Yeah.
They all did something horrible, and they know that they did something horrible, and it's almost like they've been able to completely erase that and be like, "This is our time. We did this
Yeah.
because we are more important than this human being's life." And like she has the makeup and everything, and it's like she's a washed up, old metal star. So I really like that it was, they were feeling like that. This was worth it. This is all worth it, and this is
Yeah.
our time. And the guy comes in and he's like, "Yeah, we're not gonna sign you. You guys are beat."
I think this episode, if I just had to choose one episode to watch at random in the series without, just binging them all or anything, this would probably be the one that I put on just because it is such a fun episode. And throughout this season, I kept thinking of this as my favorite episode for that reason. Like, it's such like a comfort episode in a way for me.
Yeah, I would say.
Like I said, interchangeable. My top 3. It's a fantastic episode.
How
And
funny
I
that
think it deserves to
our
be number
top
one.
10s were so different, though.
Yeah, for the most part, they were. I'm kind of glad because Dead Man's Hand. That was
The pilot,
yeah.
yeah.
It's such a great episode.
It was hard for me not to put that as number
I'm
one.
glad
I thought it was
that-
a cop out to
Yeah,
put it as
I'm
number
glad
one.
I'm glad none of us put it at number one. Yeah, also felt like it was kind of a cop out to put it at number one.
I thought about it. Not gonna lie.
I did. No, I did too, because I was like, it was perfect. But so I feel like we need to grade the series as a whole.
Series as a whole.
We usually do a 5-star.
yeah, we do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I listened to your podcast. Number one. I will go first. I think it's a 5 out of 5. I think this is the
Wow.
perfect season of television. I don't think any qualm I had with anything is enough to take away from the fact that it was extremely well acted, well directed, well written. Every like now and then there was something like that, you know, that episode with the race car or whatever, where like there was that bullshit. That is such a small amount of the series that like I think it's a perfect season of television.
I give it a 4 out of 5.
Wow.
That was lower than I would have thought.
Me too.
I think it's fantastic. I think there are such high highs. I do think this is so far my favorite show of the year. I know
it's March.
we just finished The Last of Us. Well, 2 shows are already over.
I think you gave it
Out of 2, this is
I gave The Last of Us. I can't remember if I gave it a 3.5 or a 4.
thought you all
but
gave it
I
a
know
4.
Yeah, I think maybe we
you
did.
all had an
Or
unanimous.
gave every episode like a 2
Yeah.
except for one. He's like 4.
But I feel this is a stronger 4 than that one is. That one was leaning 3.5 for me. I think this is a very solid 4. The highs in this show are worthy of 5s. I think it hits a lull for me, kind of. Time of the Monkey was episode 5, and I liked it but didn't love it.
But I did.
Episode 6 was ninth on my list. Episode 7 was 10th on my list. So it kind of hits a lull for like 3 straight weeks where it
Yeah.
didn't necessarily take me out, but I feel like it wasn't living up to how great it was before.
Interesting. My list doesn't look like that. So, Robert.
I'm gonna preface this by saying that I gave The Last of Us a 4.0.
Yeah.
I gave Poker Face a 4.5, and the only reason it doesn't get a 5 is for very like nitpicky reasons, like you mentioned with that one part in episode 5, was it? Future of the
7.
Episode 7.
episode 7, sorry. Like the little stuff like that. I mean, still great season. Wonderful thing to watch. I would recommend this to basically everybody. I can't
Right.
imagine.
It fits everybody, no matter what they like.
Like The Last of Us, I could see.
Like I won't watch that.
Yes, people wouldn't be interested in it, but like this show, I could see pretty much the general audience is gonna enjoy it. I do kind of agree with Kurt that like in the middle of the season, there's kind of like a downward trend in terms of quality. But I feel like, what's the name of the guy that's like tracking her down the whole time?
Benjamin and Brad's character.
Right.
Is
I
it
feel
Hank?
like
No.
the episodes where he plays no involvement is like right when that lull is happening, pretty much, right?
Yes.
So it's like the sense of urgency is kind of taken away, and that whole like it's basically like you kind of forget about the situation she's in, and it's more just like a week to week like mystery solve. And I mean they're all great episodes still. I just feel like that was
Cliff.
Cliff,
Where the
that
fuck
was
did I
my
get
jam.
Hank? Who's
I
Hank?
don't know.
Hank fucking Heel.
Okay.
And yeah, I just feel like it's a very solid season of television. I would recommend it to pretty much everybody. Cannot wait for season 2. Hopefully they, keep
Stick with
up.
the formula.
Yeah, stick with the formula. They make it as good as the last season. So
I feel like the fact that it follows a formula is why it's successful. Like it did not try to go from, A to Z. Like it was just like,
Right.
this is how we do it and this is how it goes. And I feel, some episodes were stronger than others, but barely. Like my least favorite episode and my favorite episode are so close together, really.
Well, mine
Yeah.
aren't. But I agree. There's a very specific formula. And
It's like- My
It's
favorite
good.
show is Psych, as you know,
Yeah.
which follows a very specific formula each episode. I Love Monk, same thing. Murder, She Wrote, same thing. What's
I
so
just my thing is, and I mentioned it earlier, I do love the formula. I just want there to be a different reason for the formula than what we got at the end of the season. I don't want her to be on the road for the same exact reason as she was. I feel like maybe there's a way that they can make me happy and make you guys happy too.
Maybe they'll just blow us away in the first episode of season 2. She'll, resolve this whole issue
Yeah,
with the other
maybe.
mafia family. What is it? 5 families they call
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
It's
And
like,
then-
I'm only hearing about one family. Where's the rest of them?
Right. I would love for it to not just be the same exact scenario for season 2, but I do love that they pretty much tell you that it's going to be more of the same thing, where she's like, a loner traveling around,
Yeah.
meeting new people.
And she's happy doing that.
Yeah,
Like, she of course, she didn't want to be running, but like she said, I'm good at it.
right.
When the lady's like, oh, do you think you can do this, whatever, she's like, I'm good at it. And it's true. She is good at it, and she finds her way. Like, we never see her where she's like, how can I continue on? Like, she's doing well every time we see her. She finds a job. She finds a tribe.
She's fine
people.
sleeping in her car, washing windows for a couple bucks. She's a survivor.
She's a hustler.
A vagabond. I really like season 1. Can't wait for season 2. I'm excited to see which guest stars we get in season 2
Yeah.
because
Oh my
season 1 was
god.
stacked.
Yeah, it was.
Stacked.
I didn't expect it to be.
Every
that crazy.
episode.
Yeah,
Well, it seems like everybody wants to work with Ryan Johnson in some capacity. When you look at like Knives Out and Glass Onion and things like that, it's just everybody wants to work with this guy. So bring it on.
Well, that wouldn't be the case if he wasn't someone worth working for. So, well, I guess Woody Allen has a lot of people who want to work with him. So maybe not. I'll take it back.
All right. Well, I guess that pretty much wraps up the entirety of season 1 of Poker Face. You can catch it on Peacock, owned by NBC.
Where there will be a new Monk movie.
There will be a new
Speaking of-
movie. Should we start like breaking news?
Boo.
What?
Wow, yeah, he doesn't like Monk.
I
Fake.
think Monk's boring.
He's in a
lot.
funk. But don't like Monk.
I respect, that you love it, and I don't think the actor does a
Tony
bad job.
Shalhoub, award-winning.
he does a
The
bad job.
actor.
I just think
The actor.
I just think the show itself and the concept is kind of
You know
boring.
what?
Psych, I love Psych. I could watch that any day, every day.
And we
but
do.
Monk, I would rather go to sleep.
Wow.
It hurts. It does hurt.
Yeah. He's the guy.
It's like I didn't say it, he did.
No, he's referencing Monk, which you wouldn't know because you think it's
Thanks
boring.
after that.
Yeah. Ooh. I think it's time.
Well, next week we have Shazam 2,
Shazam 2.
and I think we're gonna start watching Yellow Jacket.
Ooh.
I
I
don't
think
we-
that was. I don't think we've confirmed. But I
Yeah.
think that's what
It's
we're
on the
leaning
table.
to. Yeah.
It's on the table.
I think that's what we're leaning
Maybe I'll
towards,
watch it.
Yellow Jackets.
Maybe it'll be
keep saying
Advent 3
that, but
plus
then
fun. Because I love Christina Ricci would die for her, and Melanie Linsky also would die for her, so.
Maybe they'll die in the summer. And then.
They don't, because that's.
You haven't seen season 2? Maybe they die in season 2.
It doesn't. No.
Maybe their past comes back to haunt them when they start dying.
I just love how offended she was. They don't.
Anyway.
All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in, and make sure you catch us on Monday for Shazam 2.
Shazam.
Somebody should do this thing where they're like, Shazam!
Like you and Laura did last night.
Hey, it was just me.
Sherry say Shazam.
Shazam!
Hey guys, be sure to follow us on social media. We are at Admit3Pod on YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram.